to the Purlsbeforethyme knitting podcast. I'm Elise and today is Sunday and I've had a very nice morning. I baked a little bit, so I made some blåbär and mandelboller, so blueberry and almond boller. So that was a good start to the day. I don't bake very often, but every now and then when I have like an open Sunday, it's very nice to just make something cozy. But yeah, so I thought today I would talk primarily about Nutiden, the yarn, my projects, my experience with it, and I'd also do a little quick WIP update for you. So I don't have a lot on the WIP update, that's why I put it in here. So my main WIP that I've been working on is the Snowy Forest Sweater by Midori Hirose, and yeah, I started this it cast on in November on a really long train journey. I had 8 hours on a train. I did quite a bit, and then I put it down all of December and I picked it up a couple of weeks ago, and I've nearly finished the yoke. So I've only got 2 more rounds and then I separate the sleeves. And this is my third one. I made one 2 years ago in Isago tweed and silk mohair, and that one ended up in the wash by mistake and it felted completely and it used to fit me, and now it's about this big. So that was a bit sad. And then I made one for my cat. I adapted the pattern. So I've made that one, and then now I'm making myself a second one in this gorgeous color. But I will say it's quite an easy knit really, because a lot of the time you are just doing knits and purls for many rounds, and then when the big cables come along you just need to concentrate a little bit more, and then it's like 4 big cables and then it's just stockinette and rip. So it really is a lovely pattern, and for me I love the fit of it. It's got quite a deep yoke and I think that suits me very well. I think the choice of using very dark yarn in Norway in winter has been difficult. I have to not strain my eyes, but I have to concentrate when I'm reading the knitting to see whether stitches are knits and purls, but it's been very good so far and I love this. I did a different yarn choice this time. I went with Aran tweed by Isago instead of just the tweed, and then with silk mohair as well. So it's a very different texture to my last one. It's a bit heavier, but I like that. And I also love my last one so much, I think I might make exactly the same thing again in the same colours and the same yarn. So that's my main WIP. And then I have one more work in progress, which I've shown before, but sorry. So I have one more work in progress, and that is my Roots and Shoots sweater by TULC, and this is in Nutiden, held together with silk mohair, and the shades of Nutiden are Languster and Mening. So I finished the first sleeve yesterday, so it's got this corrugated ribbing and then a little bit of the contrast color at the end to finish. And then I've just started the second sleeve. This felt like it took a very long time, but you know, just powered through and got there, and I'm very pleased with this. And yeah, this is gonna be a beautiful sweater, and it didn't take that much Nutiden because I held it single with silk mohair. So I think I bought I think 500 grams of this color. I still have 2 full plates left, plus this bit, which might be enough to finish the sleeve, but if not, I'll go into one of my plates and that's fine. So yeah, you don't need a lot of Nutiden if you're holding it single for a sweater. But I love the color work on this. I'm really happy with my color choices. So I'm very excited for this to be part of my wardrobe. It is a little bit short. It's not, so I would call this sweater more of a dress and skirt sweater than a trousers sweater, unless you have like very high-waisted trousers. But yeah, so that's this, and I'm very pleased with it. So talking about Nutiden, I think that was going to be my main topic of discussion today. If you don't know what Nutiden is, it is a unspun yarn produced in Sweden, and the way it works is I think is one of the most like hyped and sort of hard to get yarns in a way, because they release a few collections a year with 5 or so average number of colors, and those colors are, they make one batch and that's it. They don't really remake batches. And I think their philosophy of Caroline and her partner is that they take old Swedish sheep breeds and that aren't used in like a lot of commercial wool production, and they use those fleeces and they dye them. They dye the fleeces and then they card the wool and then they produce the yarn. And I guess the most similar thing that you could buy from another producer would be like Mancha or Plottulopi. But I find that Plottulopi is a lot rougher than Nutiden. Nutiden's very soft every time I've experienced it. It does range from collection to collection and from shade to shade. But it's a really beautiful yarn, and they are releasing a new collection in February. I'm thinking of getting some more because there's been a lot of patterns on my radar that I've just been like, oh, I really want to make that. And some patterns you can just see that Nutiden is the best choice of yarn, and some designers are very into unspun style patterns and patterns that are very good for unspun. So far with Nutiden I have made, well, Roots and Shoots is nearly done, and I've made 3 other finished garments, and I've got enough for 1 more sweater. And yeah, let's just talk about what I'm wearing first. So I am wearing, it's called TULC, which stands for The Ultimate Lazy Cardigan, by Albina, and I can't remember her surname, but she's an Irish designer, and she makes really, really beautiful patterns, and a lot of them are in Nutiden or unspun wool, and she does a lot of beautiful color work, and I think she really specializes in patterns that fit well and that you can customize to fit yourself well. So this cardigan is actually all made in one piece. You start at the neckline and then you do all these interesting increases for the shoulder, and it's shaped really nicely so it's like quite snug fit, which I like. This is made in 2 strands of Nutiden held together without any mohair. I love this color. It's something very special. I have not seen yarn exactly this shade anywhere else. And then it's got this lovely ribbed button band that you work down as you go, and then you finish it in rib as well. And I love this cardigan. I don't wear it as much as I probably should because it is very warm, and in some ways it's kind of like a jacket. Like if you go outside, you can just put this on. It's a very nice layer. Details that I really like about this cardigan, it's not just the pattern, but you can choose different body shapes. So once you separate for the sleeves, you can choose to go straight down or have a little flare, or you can do an hourglass. And I chose to do the hourglass, which means that when I close all the buttons, it sort of does go in and out, which is very beautiful. And I think it shows my shape quite nicely. But yeah, I don't always wear it closed because I get quite hot, but I love the versatility of cardigans where you can have them a bit open or a bit closed depending on your own temperature. These buttons I made myself. So I got some very beautiful Liberty prints. It's like you use it for like edging and things. So it's not like an actual big piece of fabric. It's like a thin band like this, and it's just cotton. And I just really liked the print on it, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna use it as edging for anything. So in the end I used it. I made some cloth covered buttons. So there's like in the craft shops you can just buy little press button things that you can just choose your own fabric and then you just click them in. And so I chose pieces of the fabric that I thought were pretty, and then I made all these buttons, and I love them. I think they add a really elegant detail to this cardigan. They make it really special. So yeah, I would really recommend this pattern and Albina's designs. There's so many that I would really like to make. This is the thing with knitting, like I have like 500 patterns that I want to make, and then the one I actually end up making is very dependent on my mood on a particular day when I cast on, or what yarn I have, or lots of things. Yeah, it's very hard to choose patterns, I find. But this one is excellent. The quality of her patterns is very, very good, so highly recommend. Yeah, moving on to other things I've made in Nutiden. I have shown this already, but this is the Persephone Sweater by Vanessa Pelisa. I tested this for her, and this is also in 2 strands of Nutiden, and it's a really beautiful pink. And then I made some contrast pockets in, I don't know if you can see. So the pockets are in this deeper pink that I had as well. Yeah, so this is also a very beautiful sweater. I can also try it on. This is also more of a sort of dress length sweater. So I am wearing a dress today, so that's very convenient. Yeah, so just adjust it a bit. Yeah, so I made the sleeves. I got this tip from the Gentle Knitter a few years ago on her podcast, and she often makes her sleeves a little bit shorter. And I'm like, actually, that's not a bad idea, because I hate rolling up my sleeves when I'm washing my hands. And even though it is nice to sometimes have warm wrists, I quite enjoy having a slightly short sleeve. That's done on purpose. It's not done by accident. Yeah, so pockets are kind of more decorative than than functional. But they are very beautiful, and I like this ribbed raglan because it's sort of a little bit more of a defined shape. So that's this one. It's very simple, very cozy, very nice. So yeah, Vanessa's also a designer that does a lot of Nutiden designs. So if you're interested in trying Nutiden, I would also check her out. And then I would also check out the designer who I'm going to talk about for my last big make, which is one of my absolute favorites, and that is Nivalis Wrap again. So this is, I think, one of the pullovers I'm the most proud of. It is the Between Petals Pullover by Nivalis Wrap, and it is so beautiful. I think I got so lucky that I found this pattern at the same time that the Nutiden collection had both these colours in, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, I know what I'm doing. So this was a couple of years ago these colours came out. So this, I don't remember the names of these, but the base is this really gorgeous, like dark browny green. And I've become a really big fan of these sort of dark browny greens. And it's neutral, but also a little bit special. And there's just something about it that's like quite warm and gorgeous. And this is all done in 2 strands of Nutiden held together. So when you get Nutiden, it comes in these plates, and you can either use it single-stranded, which is like this. But the thing is with Nutiden, because it is unspun, is that it does break very easily. But because of how unspun it is, you can just mush it back together, like just give it a little rub, and then there it is together again. So that's both a lot of fun and a little bit frustrating when you're working with it. But when you're holding 2 strands together, what I tend to do, and what a lot of people do, is they will make little balls first. So I'll often find it takes a while, but I'll find the end in the middle and then the end on the outside, and I'll gradually just make little balls of yarn with those, and then they kind of are a bit stronger when you're working from those when you're knitting. Anyway, back to this beautiful piece. So The sleeves are kind of, they go out and then they expand like a little bell on the ends. So that's like quite fun, poofy detail that I really like. Fun construction elements with this. So what's super fun with this pattern is you can either work it top down, or you can start at the bottom of the yoke and work upwards. And because what you do if you're doing that, you start with a provisional cast on and then you work downwards afterwards. So yeah, you start here, you finish the yoke, then you pick up the bottom of the yoke and then you work the body and the sleeves. And I did that and it was super fun. I'd never done that before. I was a bit worried about the provisional cast on and picking all the stitches up at the bottom of the yoke, but it went really well. I have made a few modifications to this. So at the bottom of the sweater, I'll show you if I stand, there's this band of colour work here. And I made mine a bit longer. So this colour work at the bottom is actually sort of a reflection of the colour work in the yoke. So all I did is I took the chart from the yoke and I added a couple of the froze back onto the bottom of the sweater. And just because I felt it looked a bit nicer, in my opinion. I've got quite a lot of ease in this, which I really like. So it's not too close to my body. Nutiden is very nice, though I don't think I would wear Nutiden straight on my skin for the most part, especially if it's something just in Nutiden. I think my roots and shoots, because there's mohair in there, I would be more comfortable wearing that straight on my skin. But I often wear this with just a t-shirt underneath, so the sleeves are often in contact and that's fine. But I don't have very sensitive skin. I know a lot of people do. So yeah, or people develop spontaneous wool allergies and then that doesn't help either. So those are all my finished makes with Nutiden. Oh no, I have one more, but I don't have them right now. They are a pair of, so this is the Between Petals Pullover by Teti Lutzak, and she also has a matching pair of socks called the Between Petals socks, and I have those that I tested for her and I made in the same colours as these. So I do own those, but they're somewhere else. I wear them more as sort of slipper socks because they're quite thick. I don't really wear them in shoes. Yeah, so I thought I'd talk about like why Nutiden, why it's so special, and how to get it. That's the thing. So the way it works is when the collection is launched, the Patreons of Hörner och Eier, that's the name of the mill, they get first access to buy it from the collection. And I used to be a Patreon. They have a very limited number of patrons, so I think that's quite good, because if they had a huge number of patrons, a lot of people would do it, and then no one else who wasn't a patron would be able to acquire anything because it goes so fast. Like, I remember being part of several collections when I was a patron that like a whole colour would sell out in the patron only sale, and then there wouldn't be any of that shade left for everyone else. And I thought that was like, it's nice to support people and be a patron and give extra money, but I think not everyone can afford that. So it is nice to balance out when you have such a beautiful yarn like this. So the way it works is when I was a patron, because I've only bought while I was a patron, I haven't bought since stopping being a patron. So I was a patron for maybe a year and a half, and the yarn shop opens at 5 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I remember, like, I've never done this for any other yarn or shop or whatever, but putting my alarm on at like 4:45, waiting, like refreshing the page until the shop opens, and before the shop opens I have a list of everything I want. So when you buy Nutiden, you can either buy 100 grams, 300 grams, or 500 grams. So this is a 100-gram plate. And then if you are a patron, they have all these little goodies. So they have it, I don't know if they still do it, I hope they do, it's really fun. So in the mill, when they're changing from one colour to another, there's a section of wool that will have both shades on, so you can't sell it with either shade. But if you're a patron, they spin it. Oh, they don't spin it. It's not spun, but they yeah, package it into like little balls, and those become lucky charms. So you get like faded bits, but you can't choose what you get, and you just get what you get. So I have received a few very sweet lucky charms. Sometimes they have a very big contrast, sometimes they don't. These don't, but they do have a sort of pale cold grey on the outside, but then a little bit of like pink in the middle. So, you know, these are my little lucky charms, and I want to make socks with these, but I don't know what else I want to make with them. So if you're a patron, you will probably get access to these. They're very fun. But yeah, so if you're not a patron, I think the shop opens a day or two later, and then you can have at it with all the lovely yarn and buy it. I will say it is expensive. Like, the yarn itself is not, but I live in Norway and this is produced in Sweden, and so I have to pay a lot of tax when it comes in. So, you know, sometimes the tax is half the cost of the yarn, so I have to factor that in as well. For me, it's been worth it so far because I get so much love in these sweaters. Oh, okay, so I love these sweaters very much, and I have had so much fun making them. And I really don't think plotty is my kind of thing. It's really not the same standard as, well, not the same softness as Nutiden. I really kind of wish that there were a similar product made in Norway, because I'm thinking, you know, Sweden and Norway are very sort of close together, and if someone was very industrious and wanted to set up a similar thing, they probably could. I don't really know how. You need access to a textile mill. I don't have that. I know that there is a Norwegian yarn company called the Hillesvåg Spinneri, or Hillesvåg Garn. They do a lot of yarn, and they sell a thing called forgarn, which is unspun, but it is not, it's not the same weight. So I think, you know, if you use Nutiden alone, it's about fingering weight, but if you hold it double, it's more of a DK, whereas forgarn, I think, starts off at DK plus. So, and then on top of that, it only comes in 4 colors, which is the colors of the sheep. So it'll come in, yeah, like a white, a sort of grey, a more beigey grey, and then a dark grey. And that's nice, but I think part of the joy of Nutiden is all the beautiful colors they make, and the color play within Nutiden is very beautiful. So they're not just like monochrome colors, there's like little flashes of other things. So in the blend, like this is Langusta, and it's got like little flashes of yellow through it, and purple and pink and grey, and I think that's something that's really fun when you're working with it. So it's not just fun when you're knitting it and wearing it, it's also fun when you're just, you know, winding it into balls. So yeah, if that sounds like your kind of thing, I would recommend it. And now I'm just going to mention some designers that have beautiful pieces, and what I want to make now with Nutiden. So I mentioned Tessie. She designed this. This was also, I think her version is also made in Nutiden. She has a lot of very beautiful colorwork patterns that are very suitable for Nutiden. And recently she released a shawl / wrap called the Nivalis Wrap. I'll put a photo in, hopefully. And it's so beautiful. It's this wrap, so you can either do a half version or a full version. So, and there's this, it's 2 colors, and you start with like a base color, and then you have color work that looks like snowdrops on one side. And what's beautiful about this color work is it's inlaid color work. So instead of, you know, stranded color work where you knit stitches in both colors, is that the color, contrast color, just lies flat on top of the main color. And what's really nice with unspun is that it can just lie flat and like sit down. Whereas when something is spun, it's not gonna have that flatness. It's gonna be a bit more rounded, and the effect that you get is gonna be very different. So I was like, oh, this needs unspun when I saw this. And I don't have quite enough yarn in the colours that I would want to make that in. So currently I'll show you what I have. I think I have either 300 or 500 grams of this beautiful blue colour. And my initial plan with this when I got it was I wanted to make the Koyame sweater by, is her name Joanna Ang? So she also does a lot of Nutiden designs. But I'm now unsure whether I actually want to make that sweater. Maybe I want to make this into a shawl. So this is kind of, doesn't have a project yet. If you have a recommendation for a project that takes 300 grams of Nutiden, please let me know. Preferably a sweater or a shawl. I don't really want to break this up into too many things. I want this to be one thing. So that's actually kind of my Nutiden stash, is this, and then 2 of these, which are leftovers from my roots and shoots. So yeah, I need more in different colors. So Teti's Nivalis Wrap is made in these 2 gorgeous colors. So one of them is Glimped, which is like a sort of warm beige white color, and then the other one, I can't remember the name, is this like dark brown red color, and I think it's stunning. I don't know if I want to do exactly those shades. There's a lot of tests and other projects on Ravelry that have beautiful colors. So I think I'm going to just see what shades are going to be released in the next February collection for Nutiden and see if I can get enough of those. Yeah, so that's my experience with Nutiden. And yeah, if you want to try it, I would really recommend checking it out. I know it's a little bit more of a high effort yarn to get. It's also a little higher price point. But you do get a lot, and you can make a lot of projects with even like one plate of it. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and yeah, tell me all about your Nutiden projects and who your favorite Nutiden designers are.